My name is Oliver Ria. I am a 26-year veteran of the middle school classroom.
I'm Megan Miker, 20-year veteran, or so they tell me, of the middle school classroom.
And you are listening to episode 9 of Middle School Madness, a podcast about teaching and things that are interesting to teachers. Hey, today on the show, we want to talk about teacher awards. What are they good for? Should you even apply for them? And what happens should you win? Plus, what is the arc of a teaching career? When is a teacher the most effective in the classroom just due to the trajectory of their career? And then, Megan, I haven't told you about this. We might even play a round of Would You Rather?
Oh, I do like that.
Right? So, Would You Rather? Megan comes to us by way of the hallway in the mornings. We hang out together. We pontificate of all things education. And that's where I said, hey, Meg, would you come on the show? And you said...
Absolutely.
Right. And
bring in the magic.
We both had the same commute home. So when I told Megan the story of that, yes, I had won the teacher award for here in our middle school, right? I got the Honorable Beckman. And I'm driving home and I call my brother and I'd say, hey, Pete, woohoo, I got teacher of the year. Well, everyone in my building voted for me. And he says, without Lincoln and I, so is you get a big trophy with that? And I'm like, oh,
yep.
No, I didn't get a big trophy. Oh, did you get like one of those like fake checks though and some money? I said, no, I didn't get that.
Gift card to Sheets.
Gift card to Sheets. And he literally, like a great brother, he goes, well, not much of an award, is it? And I'm like, man, in teaching, is it worth it to win an award that recognizes you as a teacher?
I feel like this is where we play Billie Eilish's What Were We Made For? And I think it's singular to this profession. Nobody's sitting there saying, like, I'm a finance manager. I'm doing it for the index funds.
Right.
I'm working in a library. I'm doing it for the books. Like, in other businesses, you don't have that concept of, well, you're only doing it for the kids. And that should be the reward.
And that's a really strange concept, I think, because it's like, yeah, I mean, I like to educate the kids. The kids are nice. But if I bring any accolades toward myself, well, what does it get me? Because in our profession, I was thinking the other day, we're like an island. Education is like this strange island. And if I win an award, well, I'm still on that island. I don't go to a nicer island, a bigger island, a smaller island, a more luxurious island. I'm still on my island. So my brother was right to win the award. What did I get? Nothing.
Maybe a snow cone, handshake. It's interesting because it is completely isolated. You'll read things in the newspaper, a who's who, who's moving where, in what profession.
Yeah.
People will be financially rewarded at times, or, they may receive other bonus-based things, titles, whatnot, and here we are. I mean, does anybody know or remember that you won that?
No, we have a plaque in our building. I think it's down by the front office. I've looked at it once or twice. There's 3 columns with 5 names, 3 columns with 5 names maybe, and they just keep adding them in once a year. That was really it. That's what you get. Not even a T-shirt.
What's the discussion of, when you even get the state teacher of the year? We were talking about that and the realization that you actually have to use your own personal days to take time off to go receive the award.
Yeah.
But then that's just it.
Yeah, that was weird because we looked into that, and if you win Teacher of the Year, then because you become like a dog and pony, you then will have to take almost 10 days off out of the school year, 2 weeks of instructional time, to go around the state to kind of promote the Teacher of the Year award. The irony being, well, now your skills are not in the classroom for those 2 weeks. And then, should you get passed on to like the national award,
right?
Should you be that lucky winner, well, now you're going to almost double your time outside of the classroom to then promote this, which is kind of a strange award because now your skills that you're so good at aren't being used in the classroom. They're being used to promote something else.
And you've had to use your own days to receive that award, which a lot of people need for kids, sick family members, ailing parents. That's a tough one because it's almost like a backhanded, reward.
And it brings up that idea in teaching, well, who do I want to recognize me? Or who do I want to realize that I have skills, that I can work with kids, that I can teach a subject, that they can learn that subject? Like, who do I want to appreciate me?
What are we doing it for? It makes me think of that scene from The Greatest Showman where she says to him, I think in that new house that they bought, like, how many more people do you need to see you and to love you? It's only just a few people. So then what would be a reward for the teachers? That begs and who's listening? Anybody?
I don't know, because yesterday was great. Like, I run a small YouTube channel, and I have a student who's very enthusiastic about my channel. And he walked up to me yesterday, and he's like, hey, where are your subscribers at? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like 900 and something. So we looked it up. I'm 2 subscribers away from 1,000, know? And he's enthusiastic about it. So he literally got 2 other kids in the class to go on their phones and subscribe just to tip me over the edge, right? And in that moment, it felt really, really good because he's into it,
He's excited.
He's excited.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,000 subscribers is nice, but once again, I just do it for the fun of it. But here you are being recognized and kind of cheered on. And that was a great feeling, because it came from the students, the people we love to interact with. Even though it gets you nothing, the feeling was great.
Yeah, that the kids see someone fired up for the love of just the topic, the interest. I think that in and of itself is one facet of what I think so many teachers reach for.
And it's nice, and you like it, but like a lot of things, it quickly fades away. You know, I mean, we're now 24 hours later. It's been 3 years since I won Teacher of the Year. It's kind of like foggy now. Like, all right, that was great. I mean, even Christmas time, it's nice where they write you little cards and send you something. And I've got some tucked in my drawer over there. I hope all teachers on a bad day reach into their drawer and pull it out and read them after a tough day or a kid misbehaves in class and, your blood pressure's through the roof and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I can't do this. But like you said, let's say we take sports. I'm a good athlete.
Oh, MVP.
I have an exceptional year. What happens?
More money.
More money. What if I am a high-priced lawyer? I get lots of clients. We win some cases. I generate revenue. What do they get?
2 words: billable hours.
Billable hours. All right.
Billable hours.
I'm a great sales guy. I've got a territory. I have a banner year. What do I get?
Bonus.
I'm a good manager. I can manage people.
PTO. One of the kids said to me the other day, they said, all the teachers have second jobs, like the vast majority.
Yeah.
And, they said something like, we know that you do, corporate editing on the side, which I do, but I'm thinking I need to branch out into some more because people think we're paid during the summer. And I'm like, we're not.
Right.
And the reality is that, I would say maybe upwards of 75 to 80% of teachers also do something else to add more money into their family because families are expensive.
Families are very expensive. I mean, I think of some guys in our building right now, electricians, they build decks, they make paintings, all kinds of things. And that's in addition to, doing an activity at school, getting paid for coaching. I mean, you need a little extra. And people do forget that we as teachers take our paycheck and we stretch it out over 12 months.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we're just going to go for 9 and just have it stop? Ugh.
It's a lot. And then I think, to me, what's always so amazing, and I do think that there are parents that recognize this, especially at the end of the summer, but they're so overjoyed to get their 1 or 2 or 3 kids back out of the house and into school because they've had the love all summer. And as a parent, I've been there and done that.
Right.
But, we have them all day long, like surrounded. I mean, the other day, lunch was like 20 minutes by the time I went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of us immediately leave and go into the whole rig of, the driving around, the carpooling, the sports, the coaching, everything else. And a lot of corporate parents, working parents do that as well. But it seems to me having disjointed conversations
Yeah.
with people in the corporate world, that their balance is much better.
Yeah, I know. I wish people could see what our view of the hallway is, because it is amazing. We sit there at the hallway to make sure there's not traffic or riffraff or problems. You know how teenagers are. And yet, the moment we plant our feet, what happens? They come and talk to us.
They want to say hello. I mean, that
They
is a
wanna
little
say
bit
hello.
of a reward.
It is the fun. They want to fist bump you.
Yeah.
They want to talk about their homework, maybe
Tell
a
me
social
tell me
problem.
what's going on. You know, they got their hair straightener plugged in the bathroom. It's a Sephora. The relationships, I think, are extremely valuable. I think the hard part is that from the moment we start, you know, you were talking about what's the arc of the teacher career. You're sort of dipped in this concept that is your reward, and as a teacher, that should be the only thing that you expect. And I don't think it's too much for us to say, you know what, we're valuable.
Yeah.
We're important to these kids. We're important to each other. And to, you know, want some of the things that other people have in their jobs.
That would be nice, but there's no way. I think no one's figured it out, at least in American education, how to reward that, right?
It's true.
You know, how do you reward just a simple connection with a student?
Yeah.
In our profession, I can't, you know, we get them from 12 to 14. And I always say to them, come back in 5 years. I want to know how the story ends. You're not going to look, sound, or move the same. And I want to just know if that greatest gift of teaching, if you just grew up, could you focus more? Could you write a sentence?
Yeah.
You know, can you speak and articulate without saying whatever the latest buzzword is in middle school or hitting a gritty right during our conversation? But there's no way to put any dollar value on that, except maybe our names will whisper down the hallways of middle school for generations.
I mean, it's always surprising to me when I'm somewhere and I'm open to it, and this has probably happened to you too. Where, hi, Mrs. Miker, and I'm like, I know the eyes, and I give me 2 seconds because I can usually recall, but it's so different when they're grown up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, that's valuable. I remember I was sitting there during the Super Bowl of all times, and I was just looking for a couple of my former kids. Like, what are they doing now?
Yeah.
Doctors.
Yeah, you showed them to me on your phone. That was impressive.
Yeah, doctors and satellite programmers, and, you know.
For those of us stuck here permanently, it's nice to know that they do grow up.
Yes,
Maturity
life moves
does
on.
knock on their door, and they turn into, as we like to say, citizens that will eventually take over the world.
At least heal it. With a gritty.
Right. They'll do that, Dr. Wieheog can then go hit the gritty somewhere. That would be great. Like, hey, you still hitting the gritty when you walk down the hallways of your hospital? Oh, no, Mr. Wieheog, I will not be doing that.
I'd like to think they do.
Oh,
Just
well,
a
yes.
little. Keep a little bit of that sparkle.
Oh, my gosh. It is the greatest. It is the greatest. Which makes me think, when are we the most effective in the classroom? We look at athletes, right? They have their careers
the taper.
peak.
The peak and the taper.
Right, and then they come down. I think lawyers and architects could be good forever. I don't know why I picked
Billable
those.
hours.
Right, billable hours. You know law. You can write law. You can interpret law.
What do you think the seasons are? What are the seasons of the teacher?
You've got your youthful
Rookies.
exuberance
Rookies.
season, the rookie season, and I'm going to call that's going to last 5 years.
Okay, all right.
5 years in puppy dog land until you have seen everything.
That's fair. I definitely, that first one. The first one is a real special blend of, like, I don't know nothing about anything except that let's turn to chapter 1 and start there.
Right. And you're going to spend 5 years there. I don't know, what would you call it after that? After you're done with the puppy dog years, your rookie season, what comes next?
I feel like it's varsity level. There's like some high level, depending, and I think it could be subject dependent. But there's like go mode. This is go mode,
Yeah.
You're on fire. I also think sometimes it depends on your life stage and responsibilities. So these are the people that are here at 5 or 6 o'clock. We're wondering what they're still doing.
Right.
The veterans are just like, what, did you sleep in a cot?
And I would go far to say that in your varsity season, this is where you dream big, try big,
Yeah.
and fail. And by failing, what I mean is not that it didn't go well, but like, say it's the first year of your varsity season, year in like 6 of teaching, you're going to try a project, you're going to reach, like, I got this now. And at the end of the year, or the unit, whatever you do, you're like, okay, this didn't work. Next year is going to be something different, a little smaller, like it evolves. And then the next year it gets a little smaller. And then every year it just whittles down. So during your varsity career, you dream big with projects and books and things. But when you get to the end of your varsity season, you're down to the lowest common denominator with what you can get the students to do.
Yeah, I feel like there's always that period for any educator, whether, they want to admit it or not, where the wheels have come off a little bit.
Yeah.
There's either a rugged class, you may have like a sick family member, a sick parent. It's always the perfect storm where that's like a survival mode.
Yep.
And then I think out of that comes maybe the truest season. You're seasoned, you've seen some things, you survived some things.
Uh-huh.
I think that zone is like super relationship building, real creativity.
Your veteran years?
Yeah.
Do we call that the veteran years?
What makes a veteran? What year vicinity is that? I've always wondered that myself.
I would measure it by the bald spot on my head. I would do that. Okay, if my bald spot in my middle 40s, well, I don't know, let's go like a diameter. What is that, like 2 inches diameter? I am a veteran teacher when my bald spot's like a 4-inch diameter.
Like
I've been around.
Friar tuck.
Yeah, Friar tuck. I should wear a monk outfit. It's like, oh, that's the guy who we're now going to, the new teachers in the building were, what's his name? And people will just say, well, that's Mr. wieheog, because you've been around. You're the
You've
veteran.
seen some things.
You've seen, right. I no longer have a baby face. I've got wrinkles. I've got gray hair. I've got the bald spot. You're like, yep, that guy, he's earned it. He's been here a long time. We just call him Mr. wieheog. But let's go back one step. Rookie years.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go into our, what do we call them? Professional? No.
Yeah.
Right? When is our peak teaching? When are we the most effective, though? When are those, you've got like 4 or 5 seasons, 4 or 5 years, you're going to be at your best. Meaning you're nailing the curriculum, you've got high energy, there's great relationship building, you show up every day and there's like a little spring in your step for reasons you cannot explain. It's just like, everything works. How many years do we get when we're just peak teachers?
I mean, I'd almost beg to differ that you have like a couple shooting stars of that throughout your career. So there's that zip, the first zip at the end of rookie season where
Right.
you are,
Uh-huh.
you got it.
Yeah.
And then, life can hand you some funky stuff, couple crazy classes, who knows, a plague. Who would have
Right.
thought?
Right. Who would have thought of it?
Right? And then
Yeah.
you got to kind of recoup. And then usually if you're way far down, there's only up to go. So you might have a unicorn class or something happens, whatever, a great schedule, D all of the above, as I like to say.
So I like that. So instead of like an arc, right, where we kind of go up and down, you could just have a magical season.
Yep.
Unicorn year. Boop.
Like an EKG. Sinus
EKG. I like that. I had a theater class one year. Didn't matter what I did, everything was great. Everything was great. The students are great.
Golden retrievers.
It was amazing. Like, all right, hey guys, we're going to try something new, and they would hit it out of the park. And then I would try with another class, and it would just completely fall apart. And I realized these kids were great.
Yeah. That makes, that's always the magical. That's the magical,
That's the
like
magic.
you open the box.
Yeah.
And you're running on the cylinder. Everybody is vibing, and it just goes.
Yep.
I've definitely been blessed to have a couple of those. And,
Those are magical moments.
And there's something.
They're great. Yeah,
So
because
then
you
I
can't.
feel like after that, you hit like a bit of a plateau stage.
Oh yeah.
Plateau year throughout. That's why we've got that sinus.
Yeah. Like I said, we're now we had the rookie season. We had the season that neither you and I can remember from 10 minutes ago, and then we're like in those veteran years. I like that idea. The veteran years, you have those unicorns.
Yep.
And I think those unicorns keep you in the profession because you're like, oh, this was so much fun. And then you have the years where, it's a bad class. Or you just have students that just,
They're not gelling.
they're not. And no matter how hard you try, and you're like, well, this has worked for 3 years in a row. It's not working now. And you're like, I think I should leave the profession. But the next year, you get a unicorn year.
Yeah.
You get a unicorn
it's
year.
Funny. They're funny.
You find the joy again in teaching.
Yeah.
They're hysterical.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff, and I think that's what the larger public does not know, is that we're immersed in the weird and the unusual at all times.
Oh, my gosh.
But there's that stage that people really don't talk about a lot, and kind of want to toe dip in it. We can't really accurately speak to it because we're not there yet.
No.
But this is the blaze of glory stage. This is like the last year of your career, maybe the last half year of your career. Something wild happens.
Well, I'm there as one of the older teachers in our building. Number one question anybody asks me from teachers I don't know their names: how much longer are you going to teach?
Really?
I get this all the time
Oh,
because they now know I've been a while, and I go, I'm down to a hand, and everyone knows what that means. I got 5 years left.
That's awesome.
5 years left. And now I'm a veteran teacher, and I look back and I think of the other veteran teachers who, by the way, left and never came back.
Right? Like I'm saying, a blaze of glory. Like there's a couple different cruising altitudes of these people when they're descending.
Yep.
Like some are just like quiet, serene happiness.
Yep.
There are others who are going to blow everything up in their way, and I recommend getting a bag of chips and just watching because it's very intriguing.
I mean, I probably spend more time thinking about it than I would like, but it's like, okay, in those great years where, you're just like the professional and you're trying new ideas. Do I really want to try a new idea with 5 years left to go? Do I really want to spend a lot of time and energy, crafting something that I might only use for a season or two when I now have 27 years of things I can pull out of a box?
Right. Well, the level of thought that goes into the creation of our job to begin with is unbelievable.
Insane.
Like at that point, if it's working and the kids are receiving the message, as the sage of the building for our people that are in that zone, why wouldn't you? And I do find that interesting. Like, sometimes the rookies, they don't always feel the need to speak to the veteran teachers as much.
Right.
Depends on the breed of rookie, but I find that interesting because that was always my goal. And now, as an older teacher, I want to spend time with them so that I can catch what they think is important, new, fresh, interesting, so that I stay current.
And that's a big thing. Like, staying current as a teacher is huge.
Yeah.
And as I hit this 5-year period, hey, Mr. Rear, will you hit the gritty? Guys, I'm done with dances. I'm done with it. I've spent a career doing all your dances, the gritty, the floss, the nay-nay, the whip it, the Superman. Oh gosh, there's about 15 years right there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I am not hitting the gritty, right? I might moonwalk, and they'll be like, oh, who did that? Oh gosh, you guys don't know? And that's where it's like funny because they have so much energy. And the days I go home the most exhausted are the days where you realize to teach, some days you just have to match their energy to ride that bull for the 40 minutes, dust yourself off, get back in with the bull, open up the door, and ride it again for another 40.
Yeah.
But you're tired, you're old, you're like, I hope I don't bust out my shoulder.
Yeah, right.
I'm like riding this thing. And that's the biggest challenge. In many ways, I want to get to the finish line without being noticed by my employer, right? For good, bad, or indifferent. I don't want to win an award. I don't want to be like, hey, I won an award. This is great.
You just want to do your job.
I just want to do my job. I want to do it well. And I do feel that there is that distance now between my age and the students.
Yeah. But we're in this odd position, though, where we're so immersed that unlike the people in the corporate world, I can accurately handle conversations. I know who's on the ops.
Oh, yeah.
I have all of the vocabulary, all the language, bruh here and there, just to confuse people, so that they do keep us young to an extent.
Yes.
Like that match pace concept.
Yes, which is great because you do know You do know what's going on in their world.
Absolutely.
I think like going back to when my unicorn years were probably when one of my 4 kids was in the middle school. And my joke was, I go home and I'm still in a middle school. But I knew what they were thinking. I knew what was on their phones. I knew what they were going through with social media. You know, you had a window into the world which was even greater than the window into the world of our classrooms. And those would probably be my unicorn years. And so it's funny now, you know, they say bro. And I wish I had a record of everything, you know, of all their vocab throughout 26 years. It's always got to be something, always something that sets them apart, that makes them unique and different. And I'm like, okay. And when my parent friends were like, why do they talk in these stupid words? Language acquisition.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk like you.
It's a whole language. It really is.
It's ridiculous.
And I'm thankful that at least in our job, like you said, we are on the forefront of it.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
Do you use bro? Do you ever say to your students?
I do. I've been known that when I'm being jostled in a giant eagle by close talkers or people that just want to get into my personal space. Like they had those COVID years where they had to stay 6 feet away from me and they're upset by it. So they want to get into my business even though I don't know them.
Right.
And that's where I'll bark out like a bruh. And usually they're really confused. They don't understand why this middle-aged lady is giving them the bruh. But I get a lot out of it. I think it's funny.
I've been shocked when I've used it. They like respond to me like I'm one of their own, like it's a National Geographic special, and you want to hear like, you know, David Attenborough use his voice. And now notice that when Mr. Weir uses the bro, how the others instantly accept him into their clan. Because, you know, it'd be like, bro, what are you doing editing? And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, Mr. Weir. Bro, what are you doing with your tripod? And they're like, oh yeah, right, yeah, I got this. Like, oh my God, you guys are crazy.
Can you get back to what we were working on at hand?
Yeah.
Bet. Okay.
Yeah. Or, as I like to say, I just want you to know you got broed by a 55-year-old man. Oh. And now they're like insulted. How dare you insult me? You're not part of my tribe.
Right? Right? I mean, and there's been a lot of talk about language lately with middle schoolers and, you know, are they being disrespectful, which some of it may be, like, are you going to be yapping today? But, you know, I don't attend to it. I'm like, that's my job.
Yeah.
Obviously. You know, look out. Better saddle up.
Yeah. A kid asked me a question yesterday after I was done instructing, and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not going to help you because you were talking while I was. And I even pointed that out to you twice, and you still talked. So, boom, drop the mic on you. Figure it out yourself. Ugh. Yeah. Okay, are you ready for a game of Would You Rather?
Let's go.
All right, here you go. Here you go.
Every day.
Would you rather win Teacher of the Year or $1,000 to help your team at school?
Because we have a mean cornhole playing streak, I'm going to go with $1,000.
Okay, $1,000 to help your team out, okay? Under the same genre, but I'm switching things up here with this. Would you rather win Teacher of the Year or a 10-day cruise to the tropics?
10-day cruise to the tropics.
Oh, interesting. I like that one you answered right away. Okay. Would you rather...
Pass the sunscreen.
Sure. Would you rather win Teacher of the Month or a $15 Starbucks card?
$15 Starbucks card. I'm sorry. I'd rather drink the Joe. My ego's okay.
Okay. I'm trying not to laugh at my own would you rathers. Okay. Would you rather win Teacher of the Week or a free dessert from the cafeteria?
Teacher of the Week. Sorry, cafeteria. It's not personal, but it might actually be.
Okay.
Might a little bit. Woo. Can I frame it? Can I frame?
Oh yeah, you can frame. You can frame anything.
We like to frame. We'll laminate it. The things that make the teachers excited. It's look out, like Sharpies. All I've been trying to get my hands on lately are those Laddie pencils. You know, the fat ones.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I like those for projects. I've ordered them twice in the last 2 years. They don't come in. The district doesn't get them.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, like all good teachers,
Laddie pencils.
You're just gonna have to go. Are there office supply stores? Go to an office supply store, buy one.
Well, you know, And then we're what? What are we doing?
Spending
We're
our own
buying with
money.
our own money. The kids are like,
Well,
oh, we got Kleenex. You know where the Kleenex came
Comes from my
I
house.
stole it from my own
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Is it still thievery if
Okay.
it's from your stash?
Miscellaneous fact. See if you know the answer before we wrap it up. Why does the Kleenex change color towards the end of the box?
I don't know.
okay.
Hit me. Tell me.
I spent this was my morning intro one time. That's how I got first period quiet, because the kid stands up while I'm teaching, goes over,
Yeah.
and then with comedic timing, the moment I started again, and I said, "Dude, what are you doing?" He doesn't, like all good students, doesn't answer the question.
Yeah.
He goes,
He's
"Mr.
invested.
Why is this Kleenex orange where the first one I had was white?" And I'm like, "Really? You don't know the answer?" He goes, "I don't know the answer." I go, "Does anyone here know the answer?" No one in the room knew the answer. I go, "It's to tell you you don't have a whole lot of Kleenexes left and you got to get a new box."
That's fantastic.
I go, "Somebody had to think of that." I go, "Someone had to rub a brain cell together." And that was my intro. That was my segue. And now, people, we're going to rub some brain cells together.
Deep thinking.
Megan, that is the sound of the bell. It is time to shut down the smartboard, turn off the lights,
Hey.
and leave the greatest playground in all of the world, your classroom.
It is a rodeo. Not gonna lie.
It is a rodeo. And hey, thanks for coming out here. I am
for
so glad to
having
sit
me.
down
It
and
was a
talk.
pleasure.
This is awesome. It's
Whole
great doing
chats.
Hall Duty and you. Right? So glad you have decided to become a teacher. The world needs good teachers. Thanks for listening, and we will see you in
The hall.
way.
Boom.
There you go. Piece of cake. You're awesome.
That was super fun.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, thanks for coming down.
You want to wax any other topics? You let me know.